This is the world news at 6 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent, and these are the top stories. Daniel Bwala declares U.S. visa ban, confirms rigging of 2023 elections. Body George vows never to congratulate Tinubu. Court bars lawyers and journalists from attending Abba Kyari's trial over alleged drug deal. And the federal government rejects bill to halt doctors' migration. On the foreign scene, special counsel criticizes FBI for Trump-Russia inquiry. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The World News at 6 begins with lawyer and spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) Presidential Campaign Council for the recent elections, Daniel Bwala, saying the latest visa restriction imposed on some politicians by the United States is a testament that the election was rigged. You will recall that the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had on Monday revealed that his government imposed visa restrictions on specific individuals for allegedly undermining democracy during the recently concluded elections in Nigeria. Speaking on the matter, the PDP chieftain explained that the U.S. visa ban for perpetrators of election malpractice re-emphasizes the fact that the 2023 elections were flawed, as the majority of these select individuals are government functionaries. Reacting to this development is Ademola Adeyemi, a political analyst and political affairs commentator.
Elections are a major aspect of democracy. Democracy is the general definition, government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's the layman's definition. But it engenders democratic tenets such as fundamental human rights, such as the rule of law, such as equal hearing and all of that, fair hearing, and several other principles of justice and several things like that. That engenders and that democracy engenders. And the reason why a lot of people, an election happens to be the only way that leadership can be changed in a democracy. So that is why elections are very important. They're very germane in a democracy, in a democratic setting like we have in Nigeria. And of course, moving away from whether the United States has the moral right or ground to do what it says it wants to do is a question for another day. But the reason why United States is coming up with that is because they see that there are some infractions. There's a lot, the laws that galvanizes democracy, they've probably been breached, and several other things like that. However, I do like to say that no election is perfect, even in the United States, in advanced democracies like US, UK, and several other countries. However, the reason for the justification for what United States is saying regarding this visa ban is the fact that there seems to be that the controversies generated were seen to have come about because of the fact that a whole lot of things were done, or they seem to have been done outside of what is expected in the rules of the game. Are you following me? So the whole thing is that there were a lot of controversies, even though INEC promised, INEC used biometric equipment. There were a whole lot of things, and then, but the aftermath of the election did not go the way Nigerians expected. However, beyond, the major thing that the United States Minister of State, Secretary of State said was that there were a whole lot of things, such as voters intimidation, such as violence, such as inciting speeches. So democracy, whether the election itself, election proper, is not just about that. It goes beyond the process of voting. It goes beyond, it includes the atmosphere before it, during it, and after it. So majorly what the United States is talking about is the fact that people who were complicit in either heating up the polity, making it, difficult for people to exercise their will in a way that they are free to do so. And it is not free when people feel intimidated, when people are afraid to go out. A lot of people, because of some inciting speeches, will not go out because they are afraid for their lives. So the major things that I want us to take from here is the fact that the outcome of the elections might not have been so bad when it comes to what happened, but the processes, the conditions, the externalities that led to that is what the United States is talking about. And you will find out that most of what the other candidates are talking about are not just because of the results that came. They were talking about the cases of voter intimidations. They are talking about the cases of violence. They are talking about the cases of some, discrepancies and all of that went on in the elections. But what I would say is that saying that the 2023 election is the worst in the history of Nigeria, of course, it's debatable. You can't say it's the worst. You can't. But the only thing is that the reason why this one seems to be louder is because there was a lot of expectations that a lot of people expected from INEC. The INEC chairman has come, he has talked about the digital voting, the biometric equipment, the everything, the beavers. And everybody was expectant. There have been promises on how it will run smoothly and everything. But at the end of the day, there were challenges, glitches in terms of result transmission and several other things which led to a whole lot of controversies. However, I would like to say again that yes, even though INEC is the umpire that conducts election in Nigeria, however, there are some externalities that go beyond INEC, which is talking about the environment in which elections take place. And that is what United States is really hammering on. If you have people who can make intimidating utterances, who can make inciting utterances to in a way hamper the choices of the people, then you already know that that environment is already compromised for a free and fair process. So the whole thing at the end of the day is this. Why we know that democracy engenders election, and elections are the only way to get in a leader. However, we have to know that beyond voting itself, the environment of election matters. And that is what, because I've read a lot of articles about them, I've read a lot of news about the recent United States statement. So that is what United States is talking about. That there have been a lot of individuals who were complicit in the areas of intimidating voters, making inciting statements, making statements that will intimidate voters, or who were even complicit in doing so. So there are a whole lot. Apart from the procedural aspect, which has to do with INEC, there was also the political aspect, which has to do with the environment, the externalities in which elections have to take place. So those are the things that United States is talking about, and I don't think that is out of place. It's high time. It's just so bad. I feel bad personally as a Nigerian, because I would have thought that over the years since 1999 I would have come of age. But having this kind of controversy, even when we have employed the use of digital technology, which costs a whole lot, is something that needs to be addressed again, and we look at what we're doing and check and look at the way forward. It's something that would have to take us to go back to the sitting table and think what could be wrong with us. My opinion is that apart from the fact that INEC is saddled with the duty or the responsibility of conducting election in Nigeria, the one thing I also want us to look at is the political environment of this country, the nature of Nigerian states, the weakness of the state, and the nature of its political class. So if that is not addressed in Nigeria, we are never going to have a free, fair, and credible election that we pray for. And what that will mean is the fact that everything we've employed or deployed in an election will go to waste if at the end of the day we can't come up with a leader that represents represent the choice of the people and that can, govern properly, that can bring good governance to the people of Nigeria.
All right, sir. Do you think Daniel Bwala is right in saying that President Buhari can redeem himself, his electoral legacy by sacking the INEC chairman? I mean, it's just 13 days to the presidential inauguration, sir.
Well, like I said before, sacking the INEC chairman doesn't solve the issue. And there is no, you can't say this is an evidence of what, before you can say, okay, somebody has committed a crime that is worthy of being sacked. You must have evidences, you must have things that say that he has done such an offense you are accusing him of. So, and the whole thing is still at the court. I don't think there's any evidence to say that the chairman of INEC was complicit in whatever corruption that took place, or that has shown that he was complicit. So I would say that yes, Daniel Bwala can make known his opinion, and that is understood. But the fact is, sacking the INEC chairman, of course, is the prerogative of the president. However, before the president does that, he would have to look at the things on the table before I think he can do that. And I don't think it is going to be useful. There is an adage in Yoruba that says the knife has already done his worst. If you throw the knife away, he doesn't do anything anymore. The child is already injured. And so the fact is the election is already done. The deed has been done. Even if you sack the INEC chairman, sack the whole of the commissioners in INEC, it has not stopped what has gone wrong, right, or controversial in the last election. So my opinion again on that is the fact that the Nigerian political class, the policy makers, and all the think tanks in this country will have to sit down politically and address what is our problem. And I personally have seen that our problem goes beyond the issue of INEC as an organization. It goes beyond that. It talks about the political externalities within which INEC and a whole lot of other organizations have to operate in this country. So it's the nature of the Nigerian state that I think has to be addressed.
You have just listened to Ademola Adeyemi, a political analyst and political affairs commentator, giving his opinion on Daniel Bwala saying the U.S. visa ban on some unnamed people as yet emphasizes the notion that the 2023 elections was flawed. Meanwhile, former Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Chief Bode George, has said he will never congratulate President-elect Bola Tinubu over his victory at the February 25 poll. The PDP chieftain said this during an interview with Arise Television, adding that he bears no grudges against the former Lagos governor. Let's take a listen to Chief Bode George speaking on Tinubu.
In unclear terms, that there is nothing personal between me and this gentleman. I have nothing personal. All I disagree with are his methodologies of governance, his own ways of managing the resources of the land for the benefit of the people. It's not impacting on the people. I am a thoroughbred Lagosian. I was born and bred and grew up here. There is so much degradation. Go to my local government. First of all, Femi Gbajabiamila had been here. We had discussions. I told him all the things I would want them to do in Lagos. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that let Lagos be like the best city in the world. Make life more meaningful. Impact on the minds of the people positively, because the power rests with the people. But if there is nothing rather than that, the method of management, the financial management, completely despicable. So I said to them, I have no qualms, I have no objection, and as far as I'm concerned, there is nothing personal, sir. If whatever he had done to me in the past, as a Christian, like you said, vengeance is the Almighty God's. It's not mine. And I've already seen those who are the active players on the ill wind. They have suffered for it already in this life. So for me, the last option, the last request was that we should, whether the court has finished or the court has not finished or the processes are over or not, I should also join the others to go and congratulate Bwala Tinubu, like he said, our group, Wiki and Sheyi had done. I say I'm not Sheyi and I'm not Wiki. I'm much older than them, and that's their opinion. For me, if peradventure, at the end of the analysis, our party is still looking forward to winning at the court. So if I jump ship, how would I look like? Like a swine? Like a traitor? Ah, come on. I was born into a political family in this Lagos. And respect for what is right, what is just, what is fair. That are the ways of my upbringing. Nothing personal. If they say he has won, and I said it, that it is for me to decide whether I will live under the control of this, and he cannot individually control me. I won't break the laws. And what we want is the rule of law. What is democracy? The government of the people, the rule of law. And when you go to every court in this country, you find the lady of means and the lady of justice blindfolded with a sword and a scale. And she dispenses justice based on facts. So let's wait until the outcome of the Supreme Court. For now, I don't agree. We're going to say congratulate him before. I will never, or the judge will never do that.
In another development, journalists were prevented from covering today's proceedings of the illicit drug trial of Abba Kyari, a suspended deputy commissioner of police, and others at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Judge Emeka Nwite gave the order following an application to the effect by Sunday Joseph, the counsel for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. Barrister Joseph, a director of the Legal and Prosecution Department of the NDLEA, had applied for the protection of the next witness listed to give evidence in the trial. The lawyer prayed the court that the other lawyers, litigants, and the visitors, including journalists who were in the court, should not be allowed to be in the courtroom while the hearing lasted. However, when journalists asked the NDLEA's lawyer on the reason for the application, he said it was to give protection to intelligence officers scheduled to testify in the case. In the meantime, the federal government has described as unworkable a bill currently being considered by the National Assembly seeking to restrict the migration of Nigerian doctors to other climes. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, revealed this while fielding questions from journalists after the extraordinary Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the State House in Abuja. Responding to a threat by resident doctors to embark on a 5-day warning strike over perceived attempts to ground medical and dental graduates nationwide for 5 years before being granted a practicing license, Ngige said the bill negates extant labor laws. Reacting to the development, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors announced plans to embark on a 5-day warning strike, vowing to resist any guise to enslave Nigerian medical doctors. Elsewhere, no fewer than 15 persons were on Sunday night kidnapped by gunmen at the 1,000 housing estate along the Pegi community in Kuje Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja. The gunmen, who reportedly launched the attack at about 11:30 p.m., shot sporadically into the air and took away several persons who were returning from the city at the time. Chairman of the Pegi Resident Association, Taiwo Aderibigbe, disclosed that among the victims was the staff of the FCT Department of Development Control. He explained that the kidnappers have not contacted the families of those abducted. Director of the FCT Department of Development Control, Mukhtar Galadima, confirmed that one of his staff was the victim. The FCT command of the Nigerian Police Force was yet to react to the incident. You are currently listening to the World News at 6 on the Voice of the People 90.3 FM. After the break, we bring you stories on the foreign scene. Welcome back. You're still listening to the World News at 6 on VOP in 90.3 FM. Now, on the foreign scene, a long-awaited report has strongly criticized the FBI's handling of its investigation into the alleged ties between Russia and the 2016 Donald Trump campaign. In a 306-page report, special counsel John Durham said the agency's inquiry lacked analytical rigor. He concluded that the FBI had not possessed evidence of collusion between Donald Trump's campaign and Russia before launching an inquiry. The FBI said it had addressed the issues highlighted in the report. In this report, Mr. Durham, who was appointed by then Attorney General William Barr in 2019, accused the FBI of acting on raw, unanalyzed, and uncorroborated intelligence. The report noted significant differences in the way the FBI had handled the Trump investigation when compared with other potentially sensitive inquiries, such as those involving his 2016 electoral rival, Hillary Clinton. Mr. Durham noted that Hillary Clinton and others had received defensive briefings from the FBI, while in Trump's case, the Department of Justice and the FBI had failed to uphold their important mission of strict fidelity to the law. And that's it on the World News at 6. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the headlines again. Daniel Bwala declares U.S. visa ban on politicians, confirms rigging of 2023 elections. But a judge vows never to congratulate Tinubu. Court bars lawyers and journalists from attending Abba Kyari's trial over alleged drug deal. And the federal government rejects bill to halt doctors' migration. On the foreign scene, special counsel criticizes FBI for Trump-Russia inquiry. And that's it on the World News at 6. My name is Choma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. For coverage of your live events and brand news mentions on our news bulletins, do send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good evening and